also part no diri sa atong research proposal nga template. So the first part is the title page. So you will just input your college, name of your department. So your college is Arts and Sciences, Department of Languages and Literature. Then your complete proposal title, the one that I approved, names of your members in alphabetical order, starting with the surname. So only include those who actively participated in your group. So then next is your department, again, Department of Languages and Literature, College of Arts and Sciences, J15 Purposive Communication. Your section is ABLs 1A. And the name of your instructor, Jasmine P. Balabagno. So make sure that the spelling is correct. Okay, then the date of submission, starting with the month, day, and year. Then the next page is the table of contents. So just follow these and then input the page numbers. So since this is a proposal, we are only until chapter 3, methodology. Okay, so next is on the introduction. So what are you going to write in the introduction or the background of the study? So M1, M here refers to moves, no? So what are the moves that you're going to do in writing the introduction? So first begin with the importance of conducting your research. So why are you interested in such study or in such topic? And why is it important? Okay. And then next paragraph could be provide a background about your research project. Could be 1 to 4 paragraphs. By the way, your introduction should only be 2 pages. Okay, 2 pages lang yun ang pinakataas. So concise and direct to the point. Dapat ang introduction. So here, the background could be, I'll just edit, no? Pwede na siya 1 to 2 paragraphs. Provide a background about your research. So if, for example, about language anxiety, so give us an idea, what is language anxiety? How does this affect the performance of students? And cite properly the source. No? If you get ideas from other sources, so cite them properly, following the APA 7th edition. Then the next move that you will do is you cite previous studies related to your project or research paper. So previous studies, related studies that was conducted under your topic or title, the research paper. And then cite the name of the author, the year, title. Siguro no need for the methodology. I-edit ko eh. Siguro ko na lang. Results na lang tayo. Anyway, kaya naman tayo related, review of related studies. Dito na siyang detailed. Since this is just the introduction, so overview lang yun siya sa previous studies. Okay? So cite the name of the author, the year, the title, the results, and conclusions. You can look for related studies by, so this is a tip, no? You can look for related studies by typing the title of your research and add the keyword study, thesis, or dissertation para manggawas din na ang mga researches related to your studies. So, matagaan din mong idea sa different na mga methodologies nila or objectives na pwede ninyo ma-adapt. Then, just be brief, just mention the salient points. So, muto nga, dili na kailangan i-describe yun in detail kung saan na siya nga study. Ang kwan lang, diretso na mo sa results. Okay? Then, next move is cite the problem or gap from the previous studies. So, it could be the limitations or problems in the previous studies. For example, there are few studies on that matter. So, for example, sa language anxiety, you may have found a lot of related studies about language anxiety, but it is more on foreign studies, and there are only few papers or researches conducted in the Philippine context. So that's the gap, no? And then another gap may be about, so again on language anxiety, it could be some more on ang mga factors on speaking in the classroom. Okay, most studies are conducted sa face-to-face na classes, but only few or none were conducted using online platform. So that's why you want to explore on language anxieties of students when in an online class. So something like that. So your study is new, no, or more or interesting. Kay lahi man siya sa previous na studies. Okay? Kay ang inyong focus is sa online class man. So that's gap or problem from the previous studies. Okay? Theirs are on the face-to-face or in the classroom setting. Yours will be on the online class. Okay? And then move 5. This is now the time that you will introduce your study. So that's why you are interested in conducting your study because of these, no, katong mga problems that you cited. And then introduce your study, cite the general and specific objectives of your study as a solution to the problem as mentioned in the previous paragraph. So, yes, Shanli, how many paragraphs for M3? Preferably one paragraph lang yun siya, no? I-compress lang yun ninyo ang inyong previous studies. Introduction pa man ni siya. Anyway, ang related studies, your related studies will be elaborated in the chapter 2 section. Okay? 1 or 2 paragraphs will do for the M3. Okay, ikuan lang man ninyo. Summarize lang ninyo sa to ilang results and then give the gap. Basta kay ikuan lang gid siya ang inyong introduction, limit to 2 pages only. Then, so part of the introduction is the statement of the problem. So katong akong gi-approve, no, objectives ninyo of the study, you will just convert it into declarative sentence. Interrogative sentence. So, statement of the problem, you start with the general statement of the problem, which is in declarative sentence. So, example, this study aims to evaluate the durability of housing construction and design using fiber cement siding from hazards. Specifically, this study intends to answer the following questions. So just convert your objectives into an interrogative sentence. Okay? So mga WH and H questions. Then, objectives of the study, just copy the statement of the problem, the general statement of the problem, and then enumerate your specific objectives. Okay, then take note of the SMART way of stating the objectives and proper or appropriate verb terms. Next is the significance of the study. So who are the intended beneficiaries of your proposed research project or of your research? So this section may also describe who and how many people are expected to benefit from the project, both directly and indirectly. It should also discuss how intended beneficiaries have been involved in the project design and their expected role in project implementation. So, dili man mo mag-project, so pato lang mga people who may benefit from your research. So, in the first paragraph, enumerate all the beneficiaries. Then, in the following paragraphs, discuss each beneficiary and what can they get from your project? What can they benefit from your research? So, one paragraph for each beneficiary. No? For example, ang students, teachers, administrators, and future researchers. So, kana. No? So, natin tayo example diri. So, dapat ang benefits nilang makuha should be, it can be either direct or indirect ng mga benefits. For example, ang administrators, the findings of the study would open them the need to conduct seminars on how to write research articles that meet international standards and make some corrections and adjustments in the creation of strategies and teaching styles of the instructors and professors. So, dapat clear siya, no? And concrete na benefits. Okay, clear and concrete na mga benefits. Right. Any questions so far? Wala. So, let's move on. On the scope and limitations of the study, you may cite what you are going to study, the variables that are included in the study. So, kung sa man itong mga variables, you go back to your title. Okay? Sa mga variables. So, example, let me see. Sa inyong mga researches or titles. For example, oral English proficiency. So, your paper is only limited to identifying the oral English proficiency of the students. So, the writing skills are not included. Okay, are not part of the study. Also, your study will focus only on evaluating the how the students' behavior affect the oral English proficiency, and also the cognitive and linguistic factors that affects the oral English proficiency. And lastly, this paper will formulate recommendations concerning the strategies to enhance students' English oral progression. So, something like that. No? Limitation ng ninyo. So, go back to your objectives, go back to your title. And this will only, another continuation. This study will only utilize survey and interview method. Okay, dayon paman. So, and kung na-theory nga yung gamiton, you also mention that you will use this theory to analyze the problem, or to help you analyze the problem, answer the problem. So that's the scope and limitation. If you also have mga like respondents, so this study will only focus on the first year BAEL students oral English language proficiency. So these students are enrolled in the second semester of 2021-2022. So kana ikuan gyud ninyo kung ang scope sa inyong study and sa mga limitations. Then next part is the definition of terms. Define all the variables in your study. So the variables can be seen in your title. So first provide, in the first sentence, you provide the formal definition, and then in the second sentence will be the operational definition. Okay? Then the chapter 2, tangan din yung chapter 2 dapat. Okay, tangan na itong chapter number. Please take note lang sa changes. Okay, so chapter 2 is on the review of related literature and studies. You can, before you go to the related literature discussion, you introduce your chapter. Okay, so na a short introduction before the then tagbutangan din ninyo og subheading in bold letters. Then take note of the changes here. I will upload this later na lang for your reference. Then ang subheading, or yes, the variables that you will discuss should be in italics. So ang order sa pag-organize sa inyo ang related literature should also depend on the title. Ang order sa mga variables sa title. So for example, language anxiety, on effects of language anxiety on the oral performance of students in online class. So you start your literature with the discussion on language anxiety. So research as many literatures as you can and cite them properly. And then the next part will be the oral English language proficiency. So discuss na po daghan. And then ang online class. Okay? So ina na. So ang order will depend on your title. Okay? And then, related literature or review of related studies. Cite previous studies related to your research proposal. Then, cite the names of the author, year, objective, methodology, results, and conclusion. So, muna ni diri nga part that you will be in a more detail, no? Na objective, methodology nila, then results and conclusions. You can look for related studies again by typing the title of your research and add the keyword study, thesis, or dissertation. So just be brief. So this is an example of related study. So LEAD 2001. na din ilang results. So, organize also kung may mga foreign and local studies, so i-arrange thematically. So, you start with foreign studies, then local studies. Then lastly is the chapter 3, which is on the methodology. Excuse me. So on the methodology part, you start with the research design. Explain the type of research design that you will be using. So will it be descriptive, qualitative, quantitative, content analysis, case study? Just research on what type of research design fits your paper. Pero most sa inyo more on mixed method na quali-quanti na purely qualitative. So explain why you use that design. Okay? And then sampling procedure, what sampling procedure that you are going to use. You choose either complete enumeration, random sampling, stratified random sampling, purposive sampling, or convenience sampling. Corpus of the study, this contains the data that you're going to study. So, scope, no, sa inyong study. And then locale. So, if you have a research locale, asa dapit mo magkonduct sa inyong study, you also include that. Then data gathering procedure, discuss how you are going to gather the data of your paper. Mention that you ask permission from your respondents using a consent. So it should be in chronological order, no? In detail, gid siya ang pag-gather sa data. So what you are going to do first, diba? Ang first is you ask permission to conduct the study, and then unsa rin sunod. So chronological order dapat. And then method of analysis, describe how you're going to analyze the data. So it should be in order according sa objectives. No? So each objective should have a method of analysis. So for example, in your objective, which is to assess students' oral English proficiency level, so how are you going to analyze that? Are you going to conduct an oral proficiency exam? And then how you are going to conduct that? Kay karon in today's setup, no, limited face-to-face. So, saan man na siya pag-conduct para ma-find out ang English proficiency level sa students. Will it be through oral man? So, are you going to have them interview them using any online platform, something like that. And then how are you going to evaluate the oral English proficiency? The student's behavior. How are you going to conduct that? Evaluate the student's behavior as well as the cognitive and linguistic factors of students. So, i-detail ninyo ang method of analysis. Okay? Each objectives should have a method of analysis. And then if you have a statistical treatment, so you will have this, no? Pero sa inyo, kung kaitan ka ng mga significant differences or significant relationship, you will use a statistical treatment for that. Pero as I have observed so far, most of your research studies does not require a statistical treatment. So, pwede rin ni siya i-delete, no? Don't include this kung dili necessary. And lastly, the most important also is the ethical consideration. Discuss the ethical standards that your paper will follow. So, katong na-mention sa inyohang informed consent form, pwede to siya butang diri. No? The study will consider the confidentiality and anonymity of the respondents. Then they will be given informed consent prior to their participation. And then, last part is the references. Arrange your sources alphabetically. So only list those sources that you have cited in the text. And then follow the APA 7th edition reference format. For the appendix, so una mo'y mga test questionnaires or survey questions. So mga exams like assessing their oral English proficiency level. So kung namoy exam ana, you include here in the appendix aside from the informed consent form. No? So i-add ninyo to yung mga instruments that you will use in your study. So that's the part of the research proposal. Any questions or clarifications?